wedding podcast! Hey guys, it's Junk, and boy have I got a mess over here. Let me explain what's going on, and I'll try to do this quickly, not too crazily. So what you see here is the back of a VFR 750. Originally, you had a turn signal, large tail lamp turn signal. So we still have all that fun stuff. Only as Paul, the owner of this hotbodiesracing.com sponsored machine, can tell you, the plastics are very brittle. And look, they're very, very thin. Here is my finger, which is 3 centimeters. Just kidding, 3 millimeters thick. Boop. That plastic is probably 1/8 of a millimeter thick. Actually, looking at it, it's probably 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters thick, and it's 30 something years old. It's a 97. So some of the tabs have got old, and when I very, very first noticed that the taillight was wiggly a while back, I took it off and it was totally gone. So at some point during Paul's commutes on this thing, which he drives these miles and miles and miles, it had vibrated loose. And will this focus a little bit better? There we go. Now you can see like where the original tail lamp mounted here, and here. And this is the grommet here is where it mounts to the body. But yeah, there's a little bit of wacky things going on here. Let me come back out here. And this angle isn't actually straight down and straight across either. This angle kind of curves with the body here. And it's not exactly flat. You got like a little lip around, so it's a very interesting angle. What else we have is Junkie Turdman, who never has started collecting weird plastics, much to probably my wife's dismay, and the plastic recycling company. What I have here is an RC51 style tail light, LED, and it has an integrated license plate lamp here. So what I did is the original license plate was tucked up into the fender where you couldn't see. People are getting crazy with motorcycles and giving them more tickets. I didn't want to get pulled over on someone else's bike and get a ticket and have them ask me when I stole it and all that fun stuff. So what I've done is I made a bracket that comes out from underneath the tailpiece here, and it mounts across here and hangs down so that light illuminates the license plate. And I've made this bracket out of some pretty thin sheet metal, as you can see. It doesn't have to be real strong. Pretty durable, but it is real thin. Pigtail comes out, it mounts there, mounts across the bottom. So it does mount in 2 places, and it mounts across the bottom 2 tabs here. They're there, and that's where the original one tied it together and kept it stable, and at the back end kept it rigid. And it mounts up here to this bolt. There, and the only difference is these 2 bolts where the original license plate used to mount also holds this back little tri-section together, so you need it regardless. However, what old Junkster has done is my wife went to Costco and got a taco kit. This piece of plastic right here, hi, you see my hand, hello. This it's all long and smooth because I have alien fingers. Look at me, I'm surprised I'm turning up tan on this. I'm usually green. Anyway, this is a taco kit platter, and if I hadn't cut it out already, it'd be black in here. It'd have these awesome rigidity grooves, and this is what they do in the automotive industry as well to give things strength. You'll see it in old pickup beds on some old car roofs. Look, I barely bend that up. It's really strong, but this way you could practically roll it into a cigar, smoke it. She got 2 taco kits. I smoked the other one, but this one I left. But anyway, these give it rigidity. And that's good in one aspect, bad in another aspect. But look at the depth. Look at all this. It looks like an old Goldwing compartment box taillight bezel. I've capitalized off of the R&D and the tooling and the blank and mold that someone else had to make to get this crazy edge. I mean, look how many sections there are. There's a curved section, a flat section, like a trough section. It's pretty cool. This is a really awesome piece of plastic. Just looking at it from a manufacturing standpoint, But what I dig about it too, and the depth of these Costco taco kits, you're not gonna believe it. Look at the depth on the top of the tail light here. Look at the depth of this tab. And this is very flappy and not very good for rigidity, but it is good for a template. Look at this. The depth is exact. And the whole reason that I'm making this, I hope I explained it a second ago. As you can see, I've got this dowel here that's the exact width of the frame, holding everything in place. This is exactly how this thing would sit on Paul's bike, and I can lift this up and I'll lift everything up. So everything is in spec with how it sits on the bike. And on the old bike, like I said, or on the old bike, on the one of the pieces of the closeout here for the tail lamp, it broke. Now the turn signals screw here, and that's it. Otherwise, they're locked into the taillight itself. And at some point, Paul was in an accident on this bike too, so I don't know if that's when it happened, because some of the other plastics, when I took them apart on the front where he went down, there were stress marks on the plastic, so you can tell it's fallen and had the plastic pushed and then it sprung back. But what it did was make some stress marks on the plastic. At least it didn't break those. But on this, it could just be because this is the back of the bike, this thing's sticking out over the fender, you're going down the freeway, and it's going over every bump. So over the years, it's brittle. When I took this, very first notice the taillight was shaking a little bit. I took this off, and it's completely missing, and it was all dirty. So that means it had been gone for some years, or some time, and Paul puts a lot of miles on these bikes. So I put the RC style tail light in here, but that leaves these big openings. So I had some racing duct covering here, which looked really trick to me. It did, at least. It's like what you would put over your intercooler or whatever on your race car, just to protect pieces like that and rubble from flying in. However, what it didn't do is, hey, if it rains, guess what? Grating in here is gonna let water in. So hence the there's my ugly face. Hence the piece of template right here that we've cut. This matches the exactly even with this little drop down right here. It matches the cutout of this. So I'm going to use it as a template to go in here. And as you can see, the other side, I'd have to stick in, but it curves. It doesn't go straight. When I hold it up, guess what? That doesn't go straight across there. This thing isn't straight. It's actually from the top a little bit curved. So that's a little tricky. So what else I have done is, my template's gone. Oh, it's over there. I have a template which I have cut. Let me get it real quick. It's this thing right here. So this template, as you can see, is bent, and it's in the shape. I don't want to show you the front because it looks like a disco party, but that's all right. But it's in the shape of the back end, including everything, the cutouts of the drop down. It's got the exact, you can see that black line is the lip width. So my intentions is to get my heat gun, put it over this, and heat it up. Even with these rigidity ridges in there to give it strength, it should lay over that template pretty good. And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and make a cast of it. Now this is very thin. I probably wouldn't just use this. What my plan is to do is to mold this and cast it out of a poly resin and basically make some filler panels right here to fill in these. If I made it out of like a clear or impregnated resin, like color impregnated resin, he could use the original. I have the original pigtail for the turn signals, so that one that I have there has the light, and then I made a pigtail from the original with some OE Honda clips that I bought online, some receivers, and he could put lights behind here even, and like have it like mood lighting, purple light bulbs, or if I made this purple, he could just put light bulbs behind here and it would shine purple out here, or red, since it's a formerly red bike. Whatever he wanted to do, we could do that with this rear end. But the best part, the whole reason I even did this is to give it rigidity across here, make it so the tail lights and signal lights didn't wiggle. And trying to find 30-year-old plastics or 30-plus-year-old plastics online, not happening. And so we needed a way to fix that and bring it back, make it rigid, make it sit on the bike and not wiggle around, because that's going to put stress on these seams. If the bottom is wiggling around, hey, these are going to start to wiggle, then these are going to crack, and guess what? Finding the centerpiece, or finding this whole, this is one piece all the way down to here. And if one of the tabs on this breaks off, and this red piece is a separate piece as well, so it's all held together in here, and if it's floppy at the bottom, all that's going to get stressed. So my dogs didn't like that answer. So long story short, if a tab breaks off of here, you're donezo. You're probably never going to find one of these long body panels with the correct tabs and everything under there. So my answer is to fix the problem first and not let it wiggle around. And in the meantime, make a pretty cool RC51 style taillight, which is still Honda, and then fill these in with the patterned fill panel. And that's what this whole thing. I can't believe that the taco kits at Costco are the exact depth that I need. I mean, this is uncanny. Look at this. It's so crazy how it fits there. And I could use it as a perfect size template to make my casting from. So at least get the thickness. It probably won't have these ridges in it. I'll probably put a different panel, but I mean, even if you wanted some ridges to match the ridges here in the lights, I mean, if it was tighter pattern instead of so thick, maybe I would have just firmed this up a little bit and put some ABS, like what's it called, some ABS bond on here to put some tabs out so that it mounted, came back and mounted to where the OE signal lamps mounted, and like this whole thing would just be a rigid filler panel. So yeah, my dogs thought it was BS too. All right, well, thanks for sticking around. Let me explain what's going on here. I thought I just needed to make a little bit of content and give everybody some updates on something fun that I'm doing this weekend. All right, bye. Thank you for watching.